Welcome to Education 504 and 511, Mentor Teacher Training 1. Our session today is going to focus on how mentors can coach up novice teachers by using evidence and resources. We'll look at how to be specific with data, select and leverage resources, and provide ongoing support so that mentees can successfully implement instructional improvements. Let's dive in. Evaluation isn't just a formality, it's a crucial step. It confirms whether your coaching work actually led to teacher growth and student improvement. It also builds accountability, ensuring both mentor and mentee stay focused on outcomes. Most importantly, it guides what comes next in the mentoring journey. Begin evaluation by revisiting the SMART goal. Restate it to ensure clarity. Ask yourself, was the goal clear and measurable? Did it directly connect to improving student learning or behavior outcomes? This provides the foundation for judging whether the plan was successful. So we've got to go back to those goals, go back to those SMART goals, and use them to hold you and the mentee accountable for the success of the coaching plan. When evaluating, focus only on evidence that directly connects to the goal. If the goal was academic, use achievement or work sample data. If the goal was behavioral or classroom management, use engagement or discipline data. Avoid unrelated data that might cloud the results. Although it's tempting because sometimes we want to, really try to focus on other things that are going well, which is great, and we should acknowledge those things. We don't want that to drive the evaluation of what we initially set out to do when we made those SMART goals. It's easy to let personal things influence our evaluation. Stay grounded in observable evidence. Compare before and after data to measure change. Using multiple data points, such as student work, test scores, observation notes, it helps eliminate bias and it provides a clearer picture of impact. It's so hard when we're in the people business not to let some of these things get too personal. But we want to make sure that we are really looking at observable, measurable evidence when we are evaluating the success of the coaching plan. Interpreting results means going beyond data collection. We want to ask, did the mentee improve their instructional or management practices? Did this improvement lead to measurable student outcomes? Look for trends, whether progress is consistent across time or only in certain contexts. So it's not just collecting the data, it's interpreting those results. What are the findings of what the data says? Sharing results with your mentee requires sensitivity. Start with strengths to build confidence. Frame growth areas as opportunities, not failures. Balance celebration with constructive reflection. Always invite the mentee to interpret the evidence too. This makes it a partnership rather than a judgment. And we want to ensure that we are actually having a dialogue around the findings. Make sure that the mentee is able to voice some of the concerns, some of the celebrations. This is something that if we can sensitively deliver results, that is one of the best ways to ensure continued trust and credibility in the process and in you as the mentor as well. Next steps depend on what the evidence shows. If the goal was met, move on to a new challenge. If partial progress was made, adjust strategies. If little progress occurred, rethink the support provided and try new approaches. Remember, coaching is a continuous cycle. And there may be some times that we come head to head with some goals that it's the data says that no progress is made, or sometimes even a regression. That's very disheartening. But it's a continuous cycle. So we don't give up. We go back to the drawing board and we try some new approaches. So let's look at this example of a potential scenario that we could have when we're in the evaluation mode. The SMART goal focused on engagement during group work. Data showed a 20% increase in participation. This is progress, but next steps might include strategies to ensure all students have an equitable voice. This shows how evaluation leads to continuous improvement. So the engagement increased, maybe we had 20% more of students were raising their hands or answering questions. But our next step would be to introduce a strategy that elicited more of the student voices to improve equity, improve the opportunity for all student voices to be heard. So this is just a scenario, an example of basically this would be a partial achievement. To wrap up, always ground evaluation in the SMART goal. Use relevant, unbiased evidence to measure success. Share results constructively with mentees and be sensitive. They're human beings working really hard. And most importantly, use what you learn to drive the next steps in the coaching and mentoring cycle. As we close, take a moment to reflect. Think about what kind of evidence you can collect, that you've collected with your mentee, what resources might be relevant, and how we can help them reach those next steps. Reflect on the evidence. What types of evidence will we prioritize and evaluate in our mentee's progress? Why? Consider next steps. Based on what we've learned about coaching and evaluation, what will be our first action step with our mentee when we return to the classroom? Personal growth. Which coaching strategies from this series do you feel most confident using, and which do you feel like you need further development of? See Canvas for videos, resources, templates, and more to support coaching for your mentee. Sorry, it says mentor there. I meant to change that the last time. I think I didn't do it on purpose, but I think it's probably the perfect example of this is a continuous cycle and we are constantly improving. I hope you have a wonderful week as you continue coaching your mentee to improvement and you reflect on this mentoring and coaching cycle. Reach out with any questions.